get everything going on YouTube here in just a moment as well. But in the meantime, so bear with me for just a second as I once again have forgotten to set up Facebook to get everything lined up there. So this will not take too long, hopefully. Again, depends on when Facebook decides to respond on here. So for right now, again, for the time being, we're looking at a decently quiet evening. Should be staying that way for tonight and into the next couple of days. But if you have any plans for outdoors, go ahead and get them all taken care of, because again, we will be seeing the potential for more chances of rain as we go into the weekend. Not really seeing too much of any major concerns again for now. But second half of the weekend, that's where we could be looking at some more problems coming on through, at least for outdoor activities. So if you have any plans for out and about, definitely want to make sure that you've got that taken care of, because again, could be looking at some problems out there into the near future. So that could again be just a bit of a concern, to say the least. We'll have more on our weather picture of the day. We'll also talk more about what's going on with everything happening in and around the area, so stay tuned for more on that. Got to get things rolling here real quick so that we can get everything lined up for Facebook. So thank you, YouTube and Twitch, for joining us and for keeping an eye on the situation. And we're going to go ahead and activate our countdown so that we can get things going for the Facebook crew and see a little bit more about what may be going on for tonight. If you got plans to stick around here, again, keep it tuned to News 12. We'll keep you updated on what's going on. It's just before 10 o'clock Eastern time with our usual weather overtime setup, and we'll keep you advised as to what's going on. Questions about the forecast, drop them into the comments section. We're monitoring Twitch and YouTube, and thanks to everybody for checking in. And as of right now, again, not that much really to talk about for this evening, so this should be a fairly quick update, but we'll get things taken care of here on that and get things started here in just a second, so stay tuned for more. And again, if you got any questions, please let us know. Love to see what it is you're talking about out there and what's going on, so stand by Facebook, and here we go. All right, it is Wednesday, peak of the week, the first Wednesday of June, the 3rd of June. I think I've got all my calendars lined up properly so everybody can see exactly what date and time it is. It is just before 10 o'clock Eastern time. This is Weather Overtime, sponsored by Epicos Comics, Cards, and Games, coming to you live and direct from downtown Chattanooga in the very chilly News 12 main Studio A. The air conditioning, I don't know the name of the firm that worked on it, but they did an excellent job. You could hang meat in this studio and it would not degrade whatsoever. So again, thanks to our mechanics, our engineering staff for getting the AC fixed. It was very warm in here last Sunday, but that is not the case tonight. Had to open the doors to let some of the AC out. If you're just joining us on Facebook, welcome to the show. I'm Chief Meteorologist Austen Onek. If you've got questions about the forecast, drop them into the comments section or just say hi from wherever you happen to be tonight. Coming up, we'll take a look at the complete forecast into the first weekend of June and beyond. We'll also take a look at what's going on with the tropics, which with the Atlantic, there's not that much happening right now, as is pretty typical, especially when you have a very strong El Nino forming. Now, that's not the case in the Pacific. So if you're heading to the West Coast, down into the western part of Central America, country of Mexico in that area, if you're heading toward Hawaii, this is the time of the year to pay attention to what is going on, especially again as we approach the middle part of the season in a couple of months. So we are just getting started with more problems out there, and we'll talk more about that coming up in just a little bit. Thanking our viewers for sending in some absolutely awesome pictures. This one did not have a title, but with views like this, you really technically don't need one. Thanks a lot to our News 12 viewer named Judson from the Center Post area. It's a beautiful view there. Not sure if it's sunrise or sunset, but a beautiful one nonetheless. Thank you very much for sending it in for our HEP heating weather window picture of the day. If you've got pictures, we'd love to see them. Drop them to our website. You can go to our social media pages. You can drop them in the comments section, or again, you can go to just email them to us at pictures@wdef.com, or go to our website. And at the website, you can both turn yours in and look and see what everybody else has been submitting for the weather window picture of the day. So thank you very much to everybody for sending in some absolutely awesome pictures out there. Late night snack run, not too bad where it comes to anything in the way of cold weather for tonight, but also not seeing anything in the way of very warm conditions across the area. It's been a very mild day and will continue to be so throughout the rest of the evening, so that jacket would come in handy, but again, you can leave the rain gear behind, so not seeing a problem there. Into tomorrow, if you're going to be heading out the door, the big problem is going to be basically just a lot of sunshine, not too much wind, not too hot. Temperatures are going to be basically right where they should be for this time of the year. So we're just not getting anything in the way of a big heat wave just yet. That's good news, because at this time of the year we could easily be back into the high 90s. And if you don't believe me on that, just take a look at the record high temperature for this date, 96, set back in 1998. That's how hot that we have got. That's the hottest temperature that we've gotten up to in modern record-keeping times on this area. For, again, the Chattanooga area at the airport. We're behind for the month. We haven't gotten any rain just yet, but we're going to catch that up into the next couple of days toward the weekend. Still behind for the year by about 5 1/3 inches. So definitely could use a little bit more to help out with the drought situation. The drought update from the U.S. Drought Monitor comes up tomorrow, and we'll bring that to you on News 12 to let you know more about what's going on. All of our cameras available on the EPB Fiber Optics WeatherCam network page. The view of Broad Street traffic looking across toward the 7-Eleven, Lookout Mountain, Raccoon Mountain off in the distance, and just up at the top of the screen coming into view, that is planet Venus. And just beyond that, if that's the center point of the clock, look up and to the left of that. Even brighter star around the area tonight is Jupiter. In the next couple of nights, those are going to keep getting closer and closer together as they round the sun. And from our vantage point here on the Earth, we get to see Venus and Jupiter together in the skies. And it's going to be looking, again, much closer into the course of the rest of the next week or so. Should be closest together by this week, yesterday, on Tuesday of next week, the 9th of June, is when we should see the conjunction of those two planets out there. The Veterans Memorial Bridge and the Tennessee River flowing on through. Things are very quiet here, very dry on the Speedy's Total Car Care camera. Looking at the Chattanooga Zoo, looks like all the giraffes are bedded down for the night, not seeing anything in the way of anybody out and about on the Chattanooga Zoo camp camera. And taking a look at downtown, Lookout Mountain, a little hazy off into the distance, but otherwise a quiet and dry night for tonight. And again, not seeing much of anything to worry about for heading out and about for this evening. Temperatures at the airport, we're back in the mid-70s. Winds have calmed down significantly. Was very breezy this afternoon, but now we're down to winds out of the northeast at about 5 miles per hour. So it's pleasant, it's dry, it's comfortable. Can't say enough good things about everything out there for tonight. Now, allergies, yes, we have some problems out there with tree, grass, and weed pollen. Those are at the low level. Mold spores were at a high level yesterday. They are now on the low end of moderate. So if you have any problems with these levels, that is the primary problem of allergens out there. So not as bad as it could be, not as bad as it has been, and a little bit better than what we did see out there. On the pollutant side of things, the air quality index up to 61 earlier tonight. Primary pollutant, again, is smaller particle pollution, 2.5 microns. That is smoke, soot, and exhaust, and that's up to about the yellow moderate level. Secondary pollution is ozone gas. That's formed when sunlight mixes with a lot of the fossil fuel leftover exhaust in the atmosphere to create ozone gas, and we breathe that in down toward the surface. Other than that, large particle pollution of 10 microns, dust, pollen, and soil at the good level, and trace amounts of nitrogen dioxide, sulfur dioxide, and carbon monoxide. Other than that, it's very quiet, and overall air quality is at least a little bit better for right now. Better view at this time around the area of Island Cove, and through the rest of the evening, temperatures will be brisk. We'll be back into the mid to high 50s by the time we hit dawn patrol tomorrow morning. So we've got high pressure to thank for all of that, and we'll continue again to see the potential for some very dry conditions across much of the area into the rest of the evening tonight. So if you have any plans for outdoors, take that jacket, but leave the umbrella at home. You're not going to need it for anything. No storm systems are going to be approaching the area, but as high pressure moves to the east and over the Atlantic, that is where we will start to see air around this going clockwise. We will see the air, instead of pushing dry air south, that goes east. We'll start to see winds coming back up out of the south off the Gulf of Mexico, and that means we will be seeing the potential for more rain starting to make its way our direction as we go into the weekend. So the rest of the week, things look really good for right now. Decently dry. My computer is having to play catch up here for some reason, not too sure why, so stand by while we let this thing go for right now. And we may be partially stuck. I'm not sure what's going on here. Okay, well, we're starting over, I guess. Thank you very much, you malfunctioning mess of microchips. All right, let's try this again. Okay, so for right now, here's where we were at about Friday morning. We see again storms trying to approach from the west, high pressure blocking those and keeping them away from us. Saturday night, showers from the Great Lakes to the Gulf, and then we start to see around Sunday morning into early Sunday afternoon the potential of, again, more showers and thunderstorms redeveloping, and those will be sticking with us off and on through about Sunday evening. So that is where we may be looking at some more problems. That is also where we pick up more rainfall out of the weekend and into next week. Temperatures back into the mid to high 50s, not quite as chilly as it was last night for portions of northeastern Alabama. North central Georgia, you'll be back in the lower 50s, mid to high 50s around northwest Georgia for tonight. Western North Carolina, lower 50s, maybe a few high 40s out there in those higher elevations. And for southeast Tennessee, comfortable, dry, again, not much of any problems at all going on through the area. So chances of rain just really not going to be sticking around to give us any major concerns out there. So if you have any plans for getting out and about, that also looks to be good news. Now, we just started hurricane season in the Atlantic about 72 hours ago. It is now, again, hurricane season for the Gulf, the Caribbean, and the Atlantic. And as of right now, Wednesday evening, National Hurricane Center is not showing anything developing over those areas. Not quite the case in the Pacific. Things have really ramped up here, and remember that the Pacific hurricane season starts on May the 15th instead of June the 1st. So this area of the world gets going on hurricanes a lot faster, and that is exactly what we're looking at with two new systems developing over the eastern Pacific, close to Central America and south of Mexico. Possibility of development here, not guaranteed. It's on the weaker side, but it definitely is possible. Now, looking all the way back into and around the area, and let me turn off some of this information here so we don't see all of this at once. We have a new tropical storm going on in the Pacific. That is not unexpected, but it is the first one that we've seen in the Pacific at this time of the year. The squiggly lines that you see around this core are the computer models, and they're called spaghetti models for obvious reasons. That shows where the computer models of different strengths show the storm going. It is going to continue to the northwest and then eventually curve back to the southwest. So as of right now, yes, it is heading for the Hawaiian Islands, which are again way over to the west. But this storm, if it keeps on going, could develop into something a little bit more intense. But as of right now, we're not seeing anything major taking place with this. It is just noteworthy that we have the first tropical storm of the season taking place in the Pacific. It just marks the start of what could be a very long season coming up. So that is something that we will be watching out there. Now, this is kind of interesting. This is normal. This is no conspiracy theories needed over any of this. We've got tons of dust being blown off of North and West Africa out across the Atlantic Ocean. This is what happens every single year. This is actually where the Amazon rainforest gets a lot of its nutrients from. That moisture poor air is filled with a lot of minerals coming in from Africa. And this is something that is really cool because in the next several days and weeks, all this dust is going to do a very good job of blocking sun from developing tropical storms. It's basically going to lessen the energy getting down to the surface of the ocean and keep it from warming up. So this is good when it comes to tamping down the amount of storms. The interesting thing about what's going to happen is if these plumes are big enough, we might see the potential of some of this African dust making its way into the United States. Now, is that going to cause pollution or cause breathing issues? No, it's not that strong. But what is interesting is that we could see some of this dust hanging around portions of the area in the central and southeast United States that could color our sunrises and our sunsets, and it could make things a little bit more kind of bright and interesting. So all you weather photographers out there, that could be something interesting to take a look at. Again, this is not a disaster. This is not a huge issue. It just is a fact of nature. This is what happens when dust from the Sahara moves out over the ocean. You are breathing in that dust right now, even though you don't know it or taste it or smell it or anything else. It does happen. We breathe in pollution from other countries. We breathe in dust from various deserts out there. This is what happens when you live in a terrarium in space. This is what goes on when it comes to things like this. So we'll continue to monitor this throughout the next several days and weeks and let you know more about what's going on. If you haven't heard about this, it's about to wrap up. It's one of the neat things of the entire year. This is a live stream dedicated to information about climate change and all about our weather systems. And if you'd like to ask questions or find out more details from over 100 experts, this has been going on live straight through since Monday morning. So if you'd like to catch the tail end of it or see some of the repeat performances, go to their website at wclivestream.com, and or you can catch it on YouTube if you would like to find out more about what's being said on there. 50 hours straight through. This is, again, a good opportunity to learn more about what we can do to talk about climate, what we can do to learn more about climate and weather and how our planet works. So, again, we are doing our potential to keep things as informative as possible. There's a lot of climate disinformation out there, and there's some plain wrong, absolutely, completely, and totally wrong scientific views. Pseudoscientific is what we should call them. So if you want to know more about what meteorologists and climatologists and researchers and other personnel who are engaged in learning more about weather and our climate on our planet, this is a good place to start. Even though it's almost over with, you can go back in and take a look at more of what was said and how, again, you can be a part of that. Looking again, we've got bright planet Venus, bright planet Jupiter right next to each other. The other bright points you see out there, these planets are in the constellation of the twins, Gemini. So you're seeing Castor and Pollux, the two stars there, and the other stars of the Gemini constellation, and Sylvester the Spider checking in tonight. Sorry for all the arachnophobes out there, should have warned you about that. Rest of the evening and into National Cheese Day tomorrow. Should be, again, some very quiet numbers. Numbers here, again, at this time of the year, we are very close to normal at this time of the year. We could easily, if you saw the almanac earlier, you know how hot it can be. So this is something that is very important. We're going to stay right in our normal frame of temperature. Even the low temperatures will be a little bit warmer, but not bad. Dry up until about Sunday morning, and then more chances of showers and thunderstorms start to make their way through. So that is where we look for the rain to return. But until here and there, we've got, some very nice temperatures and some very good conditions for either stargazing or spider spotting or whatever it is you want to be doing out there. So please keep that in mind. If you'd like to know more about the forecast into the morning, check out News 12's Chip Chapman. He will have more on the forecast. And again, it will be decently cool on Thursday, so definitely want to make sure you're prepared for that. Chip is on with his forecast starting at 5 a.m. So again, find out more, dropping through there and keeping an eye on what's going on with the forecasts. Please check in with him when you can. Our weather poll question of the day, this is very important. Technically, it's not weather, but it is an important issue. We are drowning in plastic. It is all over the place, and it is something that we really need to address. We've adopted this throwaway, easy access mentality culture all over the world. Make the plastic, throw it away, think that it goes into some deep, dark hole, and that's the end of it. Well, that doesn't work that way. It's choking our oceans. It's getting into our rivers. Animals are eating it. The plastic, as it breaks down, is getting into our bodies. This is confirmed. It is happening. So again, this is something we really need to think about where microplastics are concerned. So from the United Nations Environment Program, how much single-use plastic is actually recycled worldwide? 90% of it, 50% of it, or 10% of it? And it's closer, it's with, again, just some simplifying the answers here, it's actually closer to about 9% in the single digits. That's how much we recycle. That means there's about 9 out of 10 plastic things, whatever you care to name, that is not recycled, and it just winds up moving all over the place and polluting the landscape and the life forms and the plants and us, thanks to the fact that that plastic is falling apart constantly and now getting into our water, our air, our food. It is a crisis, and we need to address this. This is very important that we really need to focus on what we can do to fix this problem that humans have created. So something to think about there. So thanks to everybody for voting in the poll, and 3/4 of you voting got the information correct. So thank you very much for voting in our poll. New poll goes up at midnight at WDEF.com/vote now if you'd like to check in there. That should just about do it. We've been on for about 22 minutes. That's not bad for this evening. Couple of check-ins on YouTube and Twitch and on Facebook. So thanks to everybody for dropping on through for tonight. And thank you again very much for checking in for Weather Overtime. We'll have more coming up again tonight on News 12 at 11. And, of course, Chip will have more in the morning starting at 5 a.m. I'm Chief Meteorologist Austen Onek. Want to contact me, drop me an email at aonek at the blue bar down below at aonek@WDEF.com. And you can reach anybody here at News 12 through our website and our social media pages. Thanks for joining us on Peak of the Week Wednesday. Thanks for stopping by, and stay tuned to News 12 on air and online.